Alright, so here's what went down. Just when things seemed to be settling, bam! An explosion shakes everything up, and Tomoe suddenly collapses, bleeding badly. Makoto panics and tells Mio to stop the bleeding while he dashes out with Lich to investigate. Along the way, Lich, still adjusting to his new body, slows down, which annoys Makoto because of his old man vibes. It turns out Lich isn't just a slacker, he's saving his energy for healing, and Makoto didn't even know Lich could heal. At the explosion site, Makoto spots an alley filled with injured people, including a fallen orc named Hokuto. Orcs usually have insane regenerative abilities, so seeing Hokuto cold and breathless triggers Makoto's memories. Determined to save him, Makoto asks Lich for help, but here's the catch. Makoto can only heal through his realm, and nothing seems to be working. He improvises, adding extra oomph to his healing powers, and it works. Hokuto wakes up, and Lich takes over from there. Then something strange happens. Makoto feels his mana spreading out in weird ways. A girl approaches him with a necklace, and he recognizes it as belonging to an orc from the party. Makoto heads to the epicenter of the explosion and notices traces of gates everywhere. One gate still lingers, and through it, he senses Tomoe's clone and some adventurers, including the orc. The gates start closing fast, and Makoto remembers what Mio said about people's consciousness disappearing when they die. Desperate, he tries to save an adventurer stuck on the other side of the last gate, but something wild happens. He starts seeing their memories. Through the memories, we learn the truth. The girl Makoto met in the red light district had a shady plan. She and her crew stole items from Mirage City, but a young orc caught them in the act. When the orc and others confronted them, the girl tossed a bag containing a ring that had absorbed Makoto's mana. That ring? It caused a massive explosion. Tomoe's clone tried to protect everyone with a water wall, but the explosion was just too intense, breaking through and killing everyone nearby. The blast also created mist gates, which the girl used to escape. Now she's scheming about the stolen weapons. As the mist thickens around her, Makoto steps out and, let's just say, he's terrifying. For the first time, he isn't wearing his mask, which makes the girl lash out, insulting his looks. But Makoto, he doesn't even flinch. All he feels is regret. He wishes he had ended her life sooner. The girl brags about being a level 96 hunter, but Makoto doesn't care. Instead, he calmly draws out a traditional orc weapon, ready for what's to come. She makes the first move, attacking Makoto, but he's faster. With one clean strike, he cuts off her hands and knocks her to the ground. She's begging for mercy now, but to him, her voice is nothing but noise. He tells her she deserves this, and without hesitation, he finishes her off. And then, reality hits. Tears start rolling down Makoto's face. He's overwhelmed, wondering if his tears are for the girl he just killed or for all the lives lost in the explosion. He reflects on his old world, where death always felt like a tragic thing, and for the first time, he's shaken to his core. Unable to hold it in, Makoto cries out, loud and unrestrained, releasing all the fear and sorrow he's been bottling up. It's a lot for Makoto to process. The next day, Makoto steps up as a leader, organizing a traditional orc funeral for everyone who died, including Tomoe's offshoot and the fallen orc. Despite the heavy emotions, he puts on a brave face, pretending he's okay. Later, he shares with Tomoe what he saw in the girl's memories, and to his surprise, Tomoe feels proud. She believes his actions solidify his place as the true king of the Demiplane. Makoto, however, isn't so sure. He wonders if he's changing. If the contracts with Tomoe and Mio are making him more like them. Tomoe finds his words amusing and assures him it's impossible for any part of a servant to enter a master's body. Shiki agrees, adding that Makoto's connection with them simply makes it easier for him to channel their powers. Mio is feeling a little annoyed, but Tomoe quickly clears the air. She explains she's talking about the bond of trust between master and servant. Shiki adds that Makoto can actually use the powers of any of his servants, though it'll take some practice to get the hang of it. Tomoe explains further, in emergencies, this trust can cause a servant's power to appear in their master. Of course, Mio isn't thrilled about Makoto using Tomoe's abilities and gets jealous. This quickly turns into a playful squabble between the two girls over who's closer to Makoto. Later, Makoto talks to Emma about his plans to strengthen Mirage City's defenses. He suggests building a protective wall to keep the weak and children safe and asks the lizardmen to patrol the area. He also assigns the heiress to pose as adventurers staying in the city to gather intel. Meanwhile, the dwarfs brief him on warehouse management, including their strategy to dispose of waste promptly and implement safety measures. Makoto then meets the grieving parents of the dead orc and apologizes for their loss. Surprisingly, the orc's parents express gratitude, reminding Makoto that he saved their village and that they would gladly give their lives for him. Even so, Makoto feels responsible and vows to make things right. Next, Makoto meets Patrick, who tells him about the neutral town near the Rose Art Academy. Patrick shows him a map that shocks Makoto. It looks a lot like Japan. Makoto decides to head there immediately, but before leaving, he makes a bold move. He takes off his mask, revealing his face, and admits he's been lying about his appearance. Though they're surprised, Patrick reassures Makoto of his trust, saying he understands what it's like to love family even after a curse changes them. Makoto appreciates the sentiment, but can't help but feeling a little offended by the comparison. Meanwhile, Mio and Tomoe are curious, and a bit upset when they found out Makoto is only taking Shiki on this trip. Makoto explains that Shiki, being a former human researcher, will be more useful for understanding the world and won't accidentally harm any promising talents. He admits that, while he used to be okay with not understanding this world, recent events have made him want to learn more about it, and about his parents. Before leaving, Makoto apologizes to Mio and Tomoe and gives them heartfelt gifts. To Tomoe, he offers his memories of swordsmanship, and to Mio, his memories of firearms. Tomoe, touched, promises to work on convincing the forest ogres to move to the Demiplane, while Mio vows to maintain Mirage City and their shop in Sige during his absence. Makoto and Shiki are all set to leave, but before they can, Makoto suddenly finds himself teleported somewhere completely unfamiliar. To make things worse, two adventurers, Sophia and Lancer, immediately attack him. He manages to dodge, but not without losing a few fingers in the process. Ouch. Meanwhile, back in town, Morris updates Patrick about the big human versus demon war heating up, with Lemia and Gritonia preparing to face off against the demon forces. Makoto, on the other hand, is completely lost and trying to figure out what's happening. He vaguely remembers hearing the goddess's voice before being whisked away. Sophia sizes him up, thinking he's a demi-human, and starts wondering if he's actually the goddess's hero. But instead of stopping to chat, she keeps attacking. Makoto throws up barriers and uses his strengthening kai to defend himself, but her strikes are intense, and he's not coming out unscathed. Bleeding heavily, he quickly uses his bowstring as a makeshift bandage to stop the blood flow. Amid the chaos, Makoto learns about the ongoing war and finds out these two are siding with the demons. Lancer urges Sophia to get rid of Makoto, calling him a roadblock to the demon army's advance. Makoto considers retreating to the Demiplane, but knows they'd just follow him there, so with no other choice, he decides to stand and fight. Makoto launches a rapid-fire barrage of arrows to keep them busy and sneaks off using his concealing kai. Just as he thinks he's got some breathing room though, crystal walls spring up around him, trapping him in. Undeterred, Makoto uses barriers under his feet to smash through the walls, but Sophia and Lancer aren't far behind. When they catch up, Sophia mocks his fighting skills but admits his abilities are odd. Lancer assumes he's being protected by the goddess and suggests removing that advantage. Sophia puts on a ring designed to cut off divine blessings, but Makoto casually shrugs it off, telling them he's never had the goddess's protection anyway. Tolt turns out that Fia is the legendary dragon hunter, and Lancer is actually a dragon in disguise. Makoto tries to explain that he's just a merchant and doesn't want to fight, but they don't buy it. With no other option, Makoto removes the ring, suppressing his mana, letting his strengthening kai go all out. The resulting shockwave blasts them away. Using his investigative kai, Makoto spots them through the dust and pulls out a special dwarven arrow. He fires it, and when they try to block, the arrow splits into multiple shots, breaking their defenses. Makoto follows up with a water arrow, which Lancer tries to counter with his own water magic. But surprise, Makoto's water magic is way stronger, leaving Lancer frozen in place. Sophia seizes the moment and goes for Makoto's neck, but he barely dodges in time. She tries again, throwing all her strength into the attack, but Makoto blocks it with another dwarven arrow that actually breaks her sword. Impressed by the dwarf's work, Makoto barely has time to react before Sophia grabs him. Then things take a wild turn. Lancer uses his crystal magic to create structures in the sky and starts teleporting himself and Sophia around, dragging Makoto high into the air. Sophia thinks Makoto's finished when he's taken high up into the air by Lancer's magic, but nope, Makoto isn't done yet. He starts blasting fireballs, taking down all the crystal traps around him, and before anyone knows it, fire is raining down on both the human and demon armies. But that's not all. Makoto uses his mana rings to shoot a massive water arrow that freezes everything around him when it hits. The explosion from the water creates a new lake, and Makoto vanishes, leaving everyone thinking he's gone for good. Sophia and Lancer survive the blast, but they think he's dead. Sophia swears she'll kill him if he's still alive. Later, Makoto wakes up to find himself safe, with Tomoe and Mio sleeping next to him. To his surprise, all his injuries are healed. He fills everyone in on his encounter with Sophia and Lancer, and Shiki drops a bombshell. The goddess probably manipulated him to fight in the war. Mio's mad about it, but Makoto feels like it's his fault for being careless. He decides to focus on increasing his mana capacity and heads to the academy with Shiki to train. Tomoe suggests that she and Mio should come with him to keep an eye out for the goddess, but Makoto wants to keep them safe and hidden away. He also introduces a new Tomoe clone made from one of his rings, naming her Komoe. Tomoe jokingly says Komoe is like their child, which makes Mio a bit upset. Meanwhile, the forest ogres are settling into the Demiplane, and Tomoe is getting them ready for some big plans. Their shop in Seagay is running smoothly as well. One customer comes in for a blade repair, but he's not too happy about the demi-human workers. Baron quickly fixes the blade, and when Mio shows off how sharp it is, she accidentally cuts the customer's cheek. Don't worry though, Emma heals him up fast, and the customer's pretty impressed with the whole crew. Even Patrick is amazed at how well Makoto's shop is doing. Later, Makoto realizes that during his battle, he accidentally hurt both the human and demon armies. He wonders if he'll meet the other heroes from the battlefield soon. As he thinks about his past life, Emma invites him to a feast to celebrate the new shop and his farewell. He reflects on everything that's happened and thinks living in this world isn't so bad, until Tomoe and Mio start fighting again on the way to Rotsgard. And that's where Season 1 of Moonlit Fantasy wraps up. If you like the story, let us know down in the comments section below, and we'll definitely bring you recaps of Season 2, because we're all about anime. Let's keep the adventure going.